The first thing I learned about the woman in silver armor was that she did not like to be touched. The second thing I learned was that no one in the galaxy dared to argue with her. The third thing I learned the hard way. The orbital station Helios 9 hovered like a fractured halo above the desert planet Karth, its surface glowing faintly with the hum of 1,000 trade routes intersecting in one fragile place. Smugglers, diplomats, mercenaries, and scientists all passed through its corridors, each carrying secrets heavy enough to bend the gravity beneath their feet. I was just an engineer. Or at least, that's what my ID tag said. In truth, I repaired things that weren't supposed to exist. Alien relics, forbidden technologies, machines salvaged from dead civilizations. If it was broken and dangerous, someone eventually brought it to me. That's how she found me. She didn't knock. My workshop door slid open with a hiss, and the air shifted. Not physically, but something deeper. Like the station itself paused to acknowledge her presence. I looked up from the cracked energy core on my table, and for a moment I forgot how to breathe. She stood tall, her figure wrapped in armor that shimmered like liquid starlight. It wasn't metal. It wasn't anything I recognized. It flowed across her body in smooth, seamless plates, reflecting faint constellations that weren't visible from this system. Her helmet was retracted, revealing a face that was calm, unreadable, and impossibly precise, like it had been sculpted rather than born. Her eyes locked onto mine. "I was told," she said, her voice steady and cold, "that you repair artifacts others cannot." I swallowed. "Depends on what you've got." Without another word, she stepped forward and placed something on my table. It looked like a gauntlet, but fractured, its surface flickering erratically with unstable energy. Symbols crawled across it like living code, shifting faster than my mind could track. I leaned closer, fascinated. "Where did you get this?" "That is not your concern." Of course it wasn't. I reached out instinctively, fingers hovering near her arm as I tried to align the gauntlet's energy signature with her armor. And that's when it happened. Her hand moved faster than thought. She seized my wrist. Hard. Not enough to break it, but enough to make it clear she could. Her grip was iron, her eyes suddenly blazing with something fierce and ancient. "Only my husband may touch my armor." The word struck like a shockwave. For a moment, the room went silent. Then she released me just as quickly, stepping back as if nothing had happened. I stared at her, stunned. "Right," I muttered, flexing my wrist. "Good to know." There was no embarrassment in her expression, no apology, just certainty. I cleared my throat and focused back on the gauntlet. "Your armor and this gauntlet, they're linked," I said slowly. "Not just technologically, biologically, maybe even something deeper." She said nothing. I continued, my mind racing. "This isn't just equipment. It's part of you." "Yes." "And it's damaged." "Yes." "And if I don't fix it, I will die." The way she said it, flat, without fear, sent a chill through me. I glanced back at her. "You're serious?" "I do not speak in jest." "No." I didn't think she did. Her name, I learned later, was Caliph. She belonged to a species that wasn't in any official record. Not in the Alliance database. Not in the black market archives. Not even in the encrypted libraries I wasn't supposed to have access to. She was something else. "Your armor," I said as I scanned the gauntlet. "It's not just protection. It's sustaining you, regulating your biology." "Yes." "And this gauntlet is a core component." "Yes." "And it's ancient." "Yes." I sighed. "You're not very talkative, are you?" "I provide only what is necessary." "Right." "Of course you do." The scanner beeped sharply, drawing my attention. What I saw made my stomach tighten. This damage, it's not accidental.
She didn't respond.
It's been targeted, I continued. Like someone knew exactly how to cripple your armor without destroying it outright. Silence. I looked up at her. Who did this to you? Her gaze shifted slightly, not away but inward. My enemies. Yeah, I figured that part. They are not like you. I gathered that too. They hunt my kind. That made me pause. Your kind, how many of you are there? Her answer came after a long moment. Fewer each cycle. Something heavy settled in the room. I exhaled slowly. All right, I said, cracking my knuckles. Let's fix this thing before your enemies decide to finish the job. The repair wasn't simple. Nothing about her was. The gauntlet resisted every tool I used, its surface shifting and adapting like it was alive. Standard energy stabilizers failed. Nanite patches dissolved on contact. Even my most advanced diagnostic systems struggled to interpret its structure. It was like trying to repair a star using a wrench. Caliph stood nearby the entire time, watching in silence. Hours passed. Then more. At some point, I realized something unsettling. You haven't moved. I do not require rest. That's not normal. I am not normal. Fair enough. I leaned back, rubbing my temples. There's something else, I said. What? This gauntlet, it's not just broken. It's missing something. Her eyes narrowed slightly. Explain. It's like a key without a lock. Or no, like half of a bond. She went very still. What do you mean? I hesitated. I think your armor, your entire system, it's designed to sync with another. Silence. A counterpart. I continued. A second entity. Someone who completes the circuit. Her gaze sharpened. A husband. The word hung in the air. I blinked. That's one way to put it. She didn't react, but something in her posture changed. Barely noticeable. But I saw it. That is not possible, she said. Why not? He is gone. Something in her voice shifted, not emotion, exactly, but absence. Like a missing frequency. I looked back at the gauntlet. Then we have a problem. The attack came, without warning. One moment, the station was quiet. The next, the alarm screamed. Red lights flooded the corridors, and the entire structure shuddered violently. I grabbed the edge of my table to steady myself. What the hell was that? Kalitha's head snapped toward the door. They have found me. Who? The wall exploded inward before I could finish. Figures poured into the room. Tall, armored in jagged black exosuits that seemed to absorb the light around them. Their weapons hummed with a low, ominous frequency. Stay behind me, Caliph said. I didn't argue. She moved like a storm. One instant she was still, the next she was among them. Her damaged armor flickered as she struck, each movement precise and devastating. She disarmed the first attacker in a blur, turned his weapon against the second, and drove a pulse of energy through the third that sent him crashing into the far wall. But there were too many, and she wasn't at full strength. I saw it. The slight delay in her movements, the instability in her armor's glow. She was losing. Caliph, I shouted. You need the gauntlet. It is incomplete. Then we improvise. I grabbed the gauntlet, my mind racing. Half a system. Half a bond. A counterpart. My eyes widened. Wait, what if I didn't finish the thought. I just acted. I slammed the gauntlet onto my own arm. Pain exploded through me. It wasn't physical, not entirely. It was like my nervous system was being rewritten in real time, my thoughts colliding with something vast and ancient. I gasped, dropping to one knee. What have you done? Caliph shouted. I don't know. I gritted out. But it's working. Energy surged between us. Her armor flared to life, brighter, stronger, stabilizing. The attackers hesitated. Kalith turned toward me, her eyes wide for the first time. You bonded. Yeah, I wheezed. Guess I'm your husband now. There was no humor in her expression, only realization. Then she turned back to the enemy. And this time, she was unstoppable. The fight ended quickly after that. Too quickly. The attackers fell one by one, unable to match the restored power of her armor. When the last one hit the ground, silence returned, broken only by my ragged breathing. Kalith stood in the center of the room, her armor glowing steadily.
Alive. Whole. She turned to me.
You should not have done that. Yeah, I said weakly. I'm getting that a lot lately. She stepped closer. For a moment I thought she might be angry, but her expression was different. You do not understand what this means. Then explain it to me. She hesitated. Then, you are now bound to me. I blinked. Like permanently? Yes. I exhaled.
Well,
that's new. She studied me, her gaze searching. You are not afraid. Should I be? Yes. I considered that, then shrugged. Too late now. A faint flicker crossed her face. Not quite a smile, but close. In the days that followed, everything changed. The bond between us wasn't just functional, it was alive. I could feel her presence at the edge of my thoughts. Not intrusive, not overwhelming,
just there.
And she could feel me. At first it was awkward. Then it became something else. Something steady. Something real. We worked together to understand the connection, to stabilize it, to make sure it wouldn't kill me in the process. It almost did. Twice. But we figured it out. Because that's what we did. We fixed things. Even impossible ones. One evening, as the station drifted quietly above Karth, I found her standing by the observation window. Stars stretched endlessly beyond the glass. You're thinking about them, I said. Yes. Your people. Yes. I stepped beside her. We'll find them. She looked at me. You do not know that. No, I admitted. But I know this. We're not done yet. She was silent for a long moment. Then, you touched my armor. I smiled slightly. Yeah, I did. And now only you may do so. Guess I earned it. She turned back to the stars. Perhaps you did. For the first time since I'd met her, her voice carried something new. Not just strength. Not just certainty. But something softer. Something human. And as I stood there beside her, bound by something neither of us had expected, the first time I died it didn't hurt. At least, not the way I expected. There was no dramatic flash, no cinematic slow motion, just a sudden silence, like someone had muted the universe. My body gave out beneath me, and the last thing I felt was Kalith's presence surging through our bond, not as strength, but as panic. It happened 3 days after the attack on Helios 9. 3 days of learning what it meant to be bound to something ancient, something alive, something far beyond human design. 3 days of pushing my body to its limits just to survive the connection. And 3 days of Kalith watching me like I might break at any moment. She wasn't wrong. Your physiology is failing to stabilize, she said for what felt like the 100th time. We were back in my workshop, what remained of it, anyway. Half the wall had been reconstructed, though scorch marks still lined the edges where the attackers had breached. I'm fine, I muttered, adjusting the gauntlet fused to my arm. It didn't come off anymore. Not physically. Not mentally. It had embedded itself into me, threading into my nervous system, syncing with my heartbeat, my thoughts, even my dreams. You are not, she replied. I've been worse. That is statistically improbable. I smirked weakly. You'd be surprised. But even as I said it, my vision blurred slightly. The bond pulsed. Too strong. Too fast. Like it was trying to rewrite me into something I wasn't built to be. Kalith stepped closer, her armor shimmering softly. You are not meant to carry this alone, she said. Yeah, well, your original partner isn't exactly available. Her expression shifted, just for a fraction of a second.
Pain.
Real, unmistakable pain. He was more than a partner, she said quietly. I sighed, leaning back against the console. I figured. Silence settled between us. Then, they are coming, she said. I frowned.
Who?
My enemies.
Right.
Of course they were. We didn't have long. Scanners picked them up within the hour. Multiple warships dropping out of fold space just beyond the planet's orbit. Not raiders. Not mercenaries. Something far worse. They are here for me, Kalith said. And now for me too, I added. Yes. Great. I pushed myself upright, ignoring the dizziness clawing at the edges of my mind. All right, I said. Then we don't stay. There is nowhere to run. There's always somewhere to run, I shot back. You just haven't met enough desperate engineers.
She studied me.
You have a plan. I have half a plan, I corrected. The other half depends on whether this thing, I tapped the gauntlet, kills me first. That is not reassuring. It's not supposed to be. The plan was simple, which meant it was probably stupid. We couldn't outgun them. We couldn't outrun them. So we did the only thing left. We went straight through them. Deep within Helios 9 was an experimental jump core. Not standard warp. Not fold space. Something older. Something unstable. Something I had been explicitly told never to activate. Which, naturally, made it perfect. If we overload the core, I explained as we moved through the station's lower levels, we can create a localized rupture, basically punch a hole through space-time. That will destroy the station. Yeah, I said. But it'll also take their fleet with it. And us. I hesitated. Not necessarily. She stopped walking. That is not confidence. That is hope. Hope's all I've got right now. Her gaze locked onto mine. Then she nodded. Then we proceed. We reached the core just as the first enemy forces breached the station. The alarm screamed again, louder this time, more desperate. The air itself felt charged, like it knew what was coming. I rushed to the control panel, my hands flying across the interface. Okay, come on. The system resisted me. Of course it did. It was never meant to be used like this. Behind me, Kalith stood guard, her armor glowing brighter with each passing second. They're close, she said. I'm aware. The bond surged again, stronger this time. Too strong. I gasped, gripping the console, as pain lanced through my skull. Kalith turned sharply. You are destabilizing. I know. I choked. Just give me a second. You do not have a second. The doors exploded inward. They were here.
More of them this time.
Heavier armor. Stronger weapons. Their leader stepped forward, his presence wrong, like the absence of something fundamental. You cannot escape, he said, his voice distorted and human. Your kind ends here. Kalith stepped in front of me.
No, she said.
It ends with you. And then, everything moved at once. The battle was chaos. Energy clashed against energy, the room shaking with each impact. Kalith fought like a force of nature, her movements faster, stronger than before, but even she couldn't hold them all back. I forced myself to focus.
The core.
The override. The sequence. Come on. The bond flared again. And this time I understood. Not in words, not in logic, but in feeling. The system wasn't just technological. It was relational. A dual construct. Two halves. Always meant to act as one. I looked up at Caliph. Hey, I shouted. I need you. I am occupied. I mean here. With me. She hesitated. For just a fraction of a second. Then she moved. Faster than anything I'd seen before. She broke through the enemy line and reached me, placing her hand over mine on the console. The moment she did, everything clicked. The bond stabilized. The pain vanished. And for the first time, we were perfectly in sync. Now, she said. I nodded. And together, we activated the core. The universe broke. There's no other way to describe it. Space twisted inward, folding and tearing as the core unleashed something it was never meant to contain. Light bent, sound collapsed, and reality itself seemed to fracture at the edges. The enemy ships outside gone, pulled into the rupture, erased. The station followed, and us with it. When I woke up, I was lying on sand. Real sand.
Warm. Solid. Alive.
I blinked, my vision slowly clearing. Above me stretched an open sky. Deep blue, untouched by the artificial glow of a station ceiling. I inhaled sharply.
Air.
Actual air. Not recycled. Not filtered. Real. We made it, I whispered. You did. I turned my head. Caliph stood beside me, her armor dim but intact, reflecting the sunlight like liquid silver. You're alive, I said. Yes. I let out a shaky laugh.
Good.
That would have been awkward otherwise. She didn't respond immediately. Instead, she knelt beside me. You should not have survived, she said. Yeah, I admitted. I'm starting to notice a pattern. She studied me, her gaze softer than I'd ever seen it. The bond, she said. It has changed. I felt it too. Not overwhelming anymore. Not painful. Just balanced. Stable.
Ours.
Guess we figured it out, I said. Yes. Silence settled between us. Then, you are still bound to me, she said. I smirked. Pretty sure that's not going away. No, she hesitated. Then slowly she reached out. Her hand hovered near her armor. For a moment, I remembered the first time I'd tried to touch it. The way she'd seized my wrist. The way she'd said those words. Only my husband may touch my armor. I looked at her. Are you sure? I asked. Yes. I lifted my hand. Slowly.
Carefully.
And this time, when my fingers brushed against her armor, she didn't stop me. Instead, she leaned into it. The surface shimmered beneath my touch, responding, recognizing, accepting. A perfect connection. No resistance. No fear. Just trust. Caliph closed her eyes briefly. Then she opened them again, meeting my gaze. You are no longer a substitute, she said. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, you are my chosen. Something in my chest tightened. Is that better or worse? She tilted her head slightly. Better. I smiled. Good. We stood there for a long moment, the wind moving softly across the desert around us. A new world. A new beginning. No enemies. No station. No past chasing us. Just us. Bound together by something neither of us had expected, and neither of us wanted to lose. Far above, unseen by either of us, a faint ripple passed through the sky. The kind that only appeared when something survived. Because in a universe as vast as this one, nothing truly ends. And somewhere in the darkness between stars, something had noticed us. Watching. Waiting. for the next chapter to begin.